If you picture a classic American breakfast, you likely imagine a heavy plate of sizzling bacon and eggs. That pairing didn't happen by accident. It was deliberately engineered. Back in the 1920s, a public relations pioneer named Edward Bernays needed to boost bacon sales for a client. He consulted physicians to publicly endorse a heavy breakfast over a light one, effectively using medical authority to permanently change our morning habits. Shaping public perception is an ancient practice. In Rome, leaders like Augustus minted coins to smear rivals like Mark Antony. Those early efforts, however, were scattered and mostly uncoordinated. What Bernays did in 1928 was different. He turned persuasion into a systematic science. Drawing on psychology, he argued that society had become too complex for individuals to make independent choices, requiring what he called an invisible government to guide public thinking. Because we cannot possibly research every decision we make in a modern world, we rely on shortcuts. That reliance shifts power away from the institutions we can see, right into the hands of the people designing the messaging. Once you understand how to guide public thinking for breakfast foods, you can scale the exact same mechanism to much larger targets. The method relies on attaching a commercial or political goal to a deep, pre-existing emotional identity. Take the 1929 Torches of Freedom campaign. Bernays orchestrated a stunt where women smoked cigarettes during a New York parade. By presenting smoking as a symbol of female liberation, he normalized the practice and expanded the commercial market for cigarettes to a new demographic. By the time the Cold War arrived, these psychological tactics moved from corporate boardrooms directly into state-level operations. A major target of this era was Jacobo Arbenz, the democratically elected president of Guatemala. Working on behalf of corporate clients, Bernays and his network systematically fed stories to the press, framing the Arbenz government as a direct communist threat to the United States. This sustained messaging successfully cultivated the political environment required to justify a 1954 US-backed coup, removing Arbenz from power entirely. Whether the trigger is feminism or the fear of communism, the underlying mechanics of engineering consent are identical. The propagandist identifies a powerful cultural nerve and attaches a hidden agenda directly to it. Sustaining an invisible government across the globe requires a massive, continuously funded financial apparatus. Today, governments, political campaigns, and corporations collectively spend billions of dollars every single year on lobbying, strategic communications, and influence operations. The true scale of these black budgets occasionally slips into public view. During the late 1970s, the South African government was exposed in what became known as the Muldergate scandal. This shows how the apartheid government secretly funneled hundreds of millions of dollars through the Department of Information into shell corporations and eventually into independent global media outlets. The point was to artificially build an international network of publications, generating sympathetic coverage for the regime. When hidden actors have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on shaping a narrative, democratic perception becomes highly vulnerable. Often, the truth isn't disproven, it is simply outspent. In the modern era, the smoke-filled rooms of the 20th century have now been replaced by hyper-efficient digital automation. The physical architecture of influence is now entirely housed in server farms. Social media platforms are built to maximize user attention. Because emotionally charged content receives more engagement, these algorithms unintentionally cause false, sensational stories to spread exponentially faster than accurate reporting. This diagram shows how state-sponsored operations weaponize that exact vulnerability. A prime example is the Russian doppelganger network. Doppelganger networks are coordinated disinformation campaigns, where operatives build exact visual clones of legitimate news websites. By copying the appearance of major news outlets, these networks exploit the public's trust in familiar brands. They launder completely fabricated articles into the digital ecosystem, letting the algorithms do the heavy lifting. Experts now call this environment cognitive warfare. The tactics have evolved past simple text into artificial intelligence and deepfakes. Deepfakes are synthetic media files where AI is used to create highly realistic, manipulated audio or video impersonations. Propagandists use these tools to impersonate political leaders and suppress voter turnout, bypassing traditional fact-checking. Modern propaganda seeks to erode the foundation of trust in reality. This shifts the focus from simple persuasion to the destruction of objective truth, leaving critical thinking and media literacy as our only remaining defenses against the invisible government's machinery.